My name's Monica and I'm here this afternoon to do a bit of craft with you. I wonder if you can guess what we're going to make? We're going to do pom-poms. These gorgeous or lovely things that can be turned into almost anything. So if you saw at the start, I've created some pom-pom characters based around just different sizes of pom-poms. So this is a little teddy bear that we're going to be making today. And we've got a medium, bigger pom-pom for the head, a big pom-pom for the belly, and then you've got legs and arms and ears that are all smaller ones. So that's what we're going to be making today. But the beauty of pom-poms is that when you have two round pom-pom puffs, you can turn them into almost anything. Like these white ones could be a snowman when you put them together like that. When you put them together like that, they could be a rabbit. Or I've done a polar bear. So once you add two puffs together, they can be turned into almost anything. So we've done a little mouse as well. And then a little ladybird. So it's got a little black puff for the head and then the body. And this one has little interesting tricky details that I'll show you a bit later on. And then we've got a little bumblebee, just like that. And I've used felt here for the wings, but you could use paper or something else. And then I've used googly eyes, but you can use buttons or anything that you've got at home. So to start with, I'll let you know what we need. All right, put all these little characters to the side. All right. Okay, so to start, pom-poms. You're going to need wool, nice, gorgeous balls of wool in the colour that you are going to make your character in. So today I've got some orange and yellow here because we're going to do an orange and yellow teddy bear. So, and then I've also got a completely different colour, the white. The white's sort of an opposite colour. I'll tell you why in a minute. So you've got your wool. Then you need something that you're going to wrap the wool around. So pom-poms, to make them, essentially you're just wrapping it around something. So in the shops, there's all sorts of different variations of pom-poms. So there's makers. So there's the circle one. There's this kind of fork one that has like two prongs. You can do two different sizes. And then there's these like half ones like that. But do you know what? You don't actually need any of these. You can make it all at home. You can make up your own pom-pom template. So that's what we're going to do. So when I was little, Mum used to make them out of ice cream container lids because they were a nice thickness and hardness so that when you're cutting, it doesn't disrupt. So you can make it out of them as well, or cardboard, which is what we're going to do. So you just need to get yourself some cardboard. So to make your pom-pom template that you're going to wrap the wool around, you need your cardboard. I've got over here, I've got some bottle top lids just to trace, but you could use a protractor and draw the circles to create your template. I've also got my marker so I can draw. And then the trusty scissors, because you are going to need these and you're going to need really, really sharp ones, because that is really important. Then for later on, I've got my googly eyes and some noses, a button, puff for a nose, and they're what's going to help us make them. Now, what also is going to help us make them sounds a little odd, but it's a fork. So to make different size pom-poms, you need different size things to wrap them around. So for our bigger one, we're going to do it on the cardboard template. For our little one, we're going to use a fork. So I'll show you how to do that in a second. So to start with, have our cardboard. And I'm going to put that down and I'm going to get this is a peanut butter lid. So peanut butter, Nutella lid, great for crafting. Put it down, trace around it. Done. I've got one circle. Then I'm going to do a smaller circle inside. Right in the centre, so it's two inside of each other, like that. And then we're going to halve it, so it's just a semicircle. Now you can do the pom-pom version that you use the whole circle. I just find that it's a bit trickier. You do get a fully pom-pom when you do it, but if you use the half one, I just find it easier to wrap. And especially if you're working with kids, it's a much easier way to work. So I use the half moon. And then we need our scissors, and we cut that out. And you want two of them. That's why I've still got my whole circle, because when you fold this in half, and we're going to then cut it in half, you get two. The important thing about two is for when we cut our wool. So there we go. We've got our two template pieces. And they go together because once we wrap, when we're cutting, we need to be able to get our scissors in there. And so if there's two of them, it's much easier to slide your scissors between the cardboard to be able to cut all the way around. Otherwise it gets a bit tricky. So now I have a little trick that I find is helpful, but if you don't want to do this, you don't have to, but it's just a suggestion. I put little slits in the side. So see where my marker goes? I've already got a line there. But I put little slits. And I cut that little slit so that it's got a little bit like that. You can see there? Because what we're going to do, pom-poms, you need to tie them together. So they have the strand that goes in the centre. You can do them the same colour, so that way you don't see them. But to help yourself out when you're learning, it's good to do a different colour, which is why I said to have a completely opposite colour to what you're making. So I'm going with the white, because I know that this is a really nice sturdy white that if I pull it to tie my knots, it's not going to break. Make sure you test that, because there's nothing worse than you cut all your pom-pom around, tie it up, and you go to pull it tight and it goes everywhere because the strand breaks. So make sure you get a really nice strong one, okay? So I've got the strong white one, and I'm going to do a length about that long. And what I'm going to do, the reason why I did the slits is I'm going to tuck it into the slits. Remember, this is our centerpiece that's going to tie the whole pom-pom together, okay? So it tucks in to the little slits like that. That way it's already in the center for tying our pom-pom. So then I'm just going to wrap it around back into the slit a couple of times so that it doesn't get tangled up in our pom-pom. So go round, round, round. Now, whatever size template you make, so I use the lids, that's going to be the size of your pom-pom. If you go bigger, you're going to get a much bigger pom-pom. If you go smaller, you'll get a much smaller pom-pom. So that really determines your size. The other thing that determines your size is how much wool you wrap. If you keep going and do this really, really fat full of wool, then it will be a really nice, thick, puffy pom-pom. But if you just do a little bit, it will be a little sparsely pom-pom. It's up to you as to what type you want, but we're going to make it nice and thick. So we put our two pieces together, and we've got our centerpiece in there. Now, another trick, just move all this out of the way. So this is going to make a pom-pom. We're going to make a pom-pom like that, okay? So I've got yellow wool and orange wool, and a super nice fun trick is to do 2 strands at once. It's really clever because it means that you take half the time to do your pom-pom. Otherwise, you can be there for ages. And if you're doing it with kids, they're like, well, can't we just stop? And you're like, no, you've got to do more. So 2 strands makes it super fast. And what's even fun with 2 strands is when you mix it up and you do 2 strands of different colours, because then you get the speckly effect. So you have a nice speckly one. So, because we're making our little teddy bear, we need the big centre one, which is the one that I've made earlier that I keep bringing up. That's our little tummy. and we need our head. So that's what we're about to make with our template. We're making the head. And then I'm going to show you with the fork how to make the ears and the smaller bits. And then I'm going to show you how to trim them. Okay, so we've got our tummy, and we're making one that's a bit smaller than our body for our head. That's what we're about to do. So I've got my two strands of yellow. There we go. And I'm going to put my thumb on it to hold them down, like that. And I'm going to wrap around that white string that I have in the centre. It's very important to do that. And I'm going to go all the way around. And then I'm just going to keep wrapping. And this is a fun part for kids because you go, how fast can you wrap? Can you go faster? Can you go faster? And they just keep going, and they keep going, and they keep going, faster and faster and faster and faster. And that's what you have to do. You just got to keep going, around and around and around. Now, for your moon shape, you want to wrap wool all the way around, but make sure you do not go over your centre piece of wool. You only want to, here, I'll do a little marker. You only want to wrap to about where I put the marker line, because otherwise it then starts to fall off, or you go over your centre line. So you want to make sure that you do the whole bit, but just make sure not the very edges, okay? So I'm going to go around, around, and around, and around, and around, until you have a big, fat lot of wool on your pom-pom template. Can you see how fat that is? It was initially that size, now it's really, really thick. This one I did prepare earlier is slightly bigger than that, just letting you know, but it's done exactly the same way. Just lots more wrapping for a long more time. You just keep going and going and going and going. You can do it. So I'll put that bit aside and I'll go on with this one that I've pre-wrapped earlier. So this is why I told you to have your centre bits in with those slots, because this handy little trick makes it so much easier to tie up. So I unhook my centre bits from those slots. I've got them there hanging down, and I'm going to tie them in just one knot over each other. So one cross. So that's one knot. And I'm just going to loop it around just one more, but it's still only one knot. I've just done one side around twice. The reason why I've done that is because that creates tension in the cord so that when I pull it, it actually holds it and I don't have to put my finger in the centre. Otherwise, you have to ask someone at the last minute when you're tying your knot, you're like, no, I just need your finger there to hold the pressure. You can still do that. That's okay. So you see, I've just done one knot. Now I'm going to take my hand, flat like that, and I'm going to cup the pom-pom template like that so that you see where you're going to cut. Then I get my super, super sharp scissors. I'm going to tongue twist with that. Super sharp scissors. Don't even bother if they're blunt. Like, you need really sharp scissors. So get yourself a good pair, and then you start along again. So that's why you had your two bits of cardboard. You slide your scissors into between those two bits of cardboard, and you snip away. And you'll see it will start to come apart. This bit does take a little bit of patience, because even though I have sharp scissors, tongue twisting, it still is a lot of wool. Like, I did it super, super thick. And I did it super thick so that we get a nice thick pom-pom. If you want the perfect pom-pom, the more you wrap it, the thicker it will be, and the more of a perfect pom-pom it will be. The other thing that determines a perfect pom-pom is how you give it a haircut. So I'll show you that in a minute. Just got to snip it all open. You can see it's coming apart, just like that. I've got it all. See how I've cupped it? Gonna make sure you hold it all together. Now, if you don't, because their accidents do happen, and you let go of it, do not worry. If you let go of it and it all goes everywhere, you still got that string in the centre. It's already in the centre. That's why we did it this way. So I'm going to take out, I've cut everything. I'm going to take out my template. So that's out to the side. My string's in the centre. So I'm going to turn it that way lie it down, strings in the center with that one knot, and then I'm going to tighten it. Pull. This is where you get someone to put their finger there, or you do it trickily yourself. Because you want it nice and tight. You want to pull that super, super, super tight, because the more you pull it, the more it pulls all the wool together and it turns into a nice, fluffy pom-pom, like that. So, as you can see, there's our pom-pom. You can see our strand, but he's a little bit scruffly, isn't he? He's a bit all over the place. So, what we do next, the other fun part, is we give him a haircut. So get yourself a container and your scissors, and you give him another trim. So, if you're making a bear like we are, I'm going to cut off the center string so that you don't see it. But if you're making a pom-pom gala or garland or decoration things, like I have my earrings here, then you want to keep your center string and you want to tie it so that to your garland or to the things that you want, it's your anchor point to tie things. So just make sure you only chop it off if you want to chop it off, or make sure you leave it if you need it. But I'm going to chop that off. And then I'm going to shape my pom-pom. So he's all shaggy. So I'm going to give him a good haircut. Don't be afraid, really. Just get in there, chop lots. You can see I'm really getting in there and I'm really chopping. So what I was saying about a perfect pom-pom is that it's all about the shape. So how fat and thick he is and the shape. So I like to flatten him one way, like that, and then you trim to make that a circle, and then you go the opposite way, flatten him that way, and then you trim all the excess off to make him a nice fluffy circle that way. That way, he's a beautiful circle all around. So, and shake him up, and then you've got your beautiful fluffy little pom-pom. And that's going to be our head, as I said. Now, do you reckon that's a good size? I think he might need to be a little bit smaller. So I'm going to give him a bit more of a trim, and then I'm going to show you how to trim his face so that he gets a bit of a definition for his nose and the muzzle for his face. So I'm going to make him a bit smaller. Again, if the kids are enjoying cutting, you can just let them really go in there and really cut a pom-pom, because it's just fun, giving a haircut. There we go, he's a bit smaller. So we've got, there we go, got a head, and we got a body. So before we give him details of eyes and noses, I'm going to show you how to do some ears and some legs, feet and arms. So I was talking to you earlier about the fork, trusty fork. This is what we're going to use to make a pom-pom that's much smaller. So the beauty of the fork is that you want a fork that has really, really long pointy bits. That would be the word. And because we are going to wrap around the fork, and we need the ability to, for our centerpiece, thread it through the fork. So I'll show you what I mean. So we're going to put him aside for a moment, and we're going to wrap it around our fork. So I'm putting my thumb on the fork, and I'm going around. And again, the more you do, the thicker it is, the puffier your pom-pom. And I'm also just keeping my thumb here because I don't want it to go over this centre bit. And I don't want it to fall off the edge either. So I'm keeping it really centre. Keep going. Just like that. Okay, so once you've got it nice and thick, okay, you just snip your line. Now, you can use your super strong wool that you've tested before, or a trick with the fork one, because you have to pull it really tight, is dental floss. Dental floss is super, super tough. So that's a real good trick for doing the super small ones, is use a piece of dental floss. But you could use either the wool or the dental floss. Now, the reason why I said not to go over this bit is because you want to poke like you're threading a needle, go through the center part of your fork. I don't know if you can see with the detail, but go through the center of your fork so that you can grab your center one from the center. Hold on, I'm not threading very well. There we go. And then you go around it, and you go around that center bit of this part of the fork, and then you've got it around it. So then we're going to do our one tie, like we did with the big one. One tie, and we're going to pull tight, and then I'm going to slide it off the fork. Oh, is it? Oh, okay. You're going to slide it off the fork, and then pull it super, super tight, and then do your second knot. There we go. Then you've got this funny little parcel thing. And then all these bunches of loops, you need to trim them. You need to give them you need to cut them down the center. All the loops down the center, and that reveals your pom-pom, like that. Nice little pom-pom. And again, he's a bit scruffy, so give him a haircut, and it'll be all good. And that is going to be one of our, actually, I think this might be its tail, its little tail. There you go. So that's how you make a mini one, all right? So I'm going to show you how to put these together to make it a teddy bear. I just got to turn on my hot glue. Okay. Because to put all the pom-poms together, you need a really good craft glue or you need a hot glue gun, okay? Otherwise it can be really tricky. So what I've done earlier is I've made a bunch more of the pom-pom puffs, and I've shaped them differently so that they become legs and arms. So with these ones, you can see they're a bit bigger. I actually did them just wrapping around my fingers to make, because I wanted a slightly bigger pom-pom than what the fork does. So I just wrapped around my fingers, around and around, 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 and around, and like the fork, slid it off and tied one around that. That was how I made this size. And then I shaped it so it looks like a bit of a teardrop. So it's got the nice puffy bit there, but it's still scruffy up here. It's a bit of a teardrop. That's because this teardrop bit is what's going to get stuck into his body to make him have his leg nice and glued in there. So there's his little legs. Then I did ones that were slightly smaller for his arms. So there you go, there and there. And then I got a bit fancy and I put orange inside the yellow for his ears. So they're going to go there. Now what's super important, sometimes when you make pom-pom characters, if you just put the two puffs together, they look a little bit squat. And why is that? Because they don't have a neck. But if you put a medium-sized one just between, then it gives them that little bit of space so that they have a neck and they look a bit more normal, not all squished and huddled up. So that way, he has a neck, he has arms and legs, and he has ears. So I'm going to show you how to shape the head so that it gives them really good definition for the face. So you need your scissors and you need your pom-pom that's your head. What you're going to do is decide which side you're going to do as your front, and you're going to put your two thumbs into the centre, like that, either side, leaving a patch in the centre, and then that kind of makes it look a little bit like an owl face. You see that? Then you're going to trim between those eyes, you're going to trim right down, like right down. And you can see that once I trim that centre bit of his nose, just there between those two bits that I poked in, it gave him a bit of a muzzle for his nose. So once you add your button or your nose piece, that makes the muzzle, just like that. And you can choose whichever googly eye you think matches your teddy bear. And that's next. Then you use your hot glue gun. So I'm just going to glue his face together. So I've got hot glue, and I'm picking a medium-sized eye. And I'm just putting a bit on the back of the eye. Once you've got the eyes in, you can shape it a bit more, as well as the nose. So I've just stuck his eyes there. And it's amazing what a nose does. It transforms it instantly into a little teddy bear nose like that. And you can see that he just needs a bit more of a haircut around the eyes. A bit more. There you go. And then you just continue with your hot glue and you glue all your bits. So you're going to glue an ear on. Little puffy ear. Then another ear. And to glue the ears on, all I'm doing is I'm putting my finger in to create a little gap where I'm going to put my hot glue. And then I press the puffy ear in, like that. And then he's got his little ears. Just need a little forehead trim. There you go. Then you've got your little teddy bear ears. So you continue like that. You get your body, put your neck, big blob of glue for the neck. And I did the neck one the same colouring as the body so that it blended in, so you don't really see it. And then I'm going to stick his little head on top, just like that. Oh, he lost an ear. There you go. See how cute he looks? He's getting there. He just needs his little arms and his little legs. Like that. And then he's just like that. You can do that, can't you? It's not that hard. So, like I said, once you've got the basics of the pom-pom, and I just showed you that with all the different sizes, then you can start getting really creative with your colours and the ways that you break up your colours to do different ones. So, that is the challenge for you. What teddy bear are you going to make? Thank you for pom-pomming with me today. I hope you enjoyed this session, and I hope you make some beautiful teddy bears and put them in your windows. Have a good afternoon. Bye.